My absolute favorite time of year up here in the Boise area is fall. The vibes up here during fall are just perfect. They got that coziness. It's starting to become sweater weather. You're starting to see the leaves change colors. I think fall is a great time, really regardless of where you're at, but up here, it brings out some of the best parts about living up here in the area. So if you're thinking about whether Boise is gonna be the best place for you and your family, stay tuned to this video because we're gonna break down exactly what you should expect here in fall and how to make it the best season possible for you and your family. And before we get into exactly where to find that best pumpkin spice latte, I do want to remind you I am a local agent up here in the area. Any questions, anything that you have, all of my information is down below. I'd absolutely love to chat. Shoot me a message asking for our area guide and I will send it right over to you. It'll have things like what there is to do during the fall. It'll break down each of the areas so that you can figure out where is that best place for you and your family, what are the things to do, all of that good stuff. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button down below. That way you're the first to know everything you need to know about living up here in the area. But like I said, fall, one of my favorite times here. In this video, I'm gonna break down a little bit of the weather. We're gonna talk about the great things to do during it, and then talk about a few of the things when you're thinking about your home, some of the differences up here that you just need to know as you're going into the fall season. To get started, let's talk about one of the bigger questions whenever we're talking about the different seasons up here in the area is what is the weather like actually here in the fall? You're gonna hear me say it a few times, but this is one of the reasons why we really do like fall up here. We've gotten out of the super hot heat of the summer, but we haven't quite gotten into the time to bundle up winter time that we have up here, which leads to some great chill mornings out on the patio, drinking your coffee. It's not quite time to be extremely cold where you can see your breath, but you can go out there, you can have your sweater, have a sweatshirt, take a moment and enjoy just everything that's around you. One of the best ways to start the day. And then also we're starting to get into football season. This is the time in the patios during the afternoon. You'll see that a lot of people throw their TVs up on the patio. That is where you can really enjoy everything that you would have enjoyed inside during the rest of the year. But now you can take advantage, be outdoors and sit in front of a screen. It's kind of a win-win. Outside of the mornings and evenings, the days during the fall are going to be pretty nice. As we're kind of going out of September and you go into October and November, you're gonna see that the temperatures up here, they're gonna be in that kind of mid to high 50s all the way up to the 70s. As we get out of September, you start to leave some of those high 80s, the 90s in the past. You might have a couple of days that kind of creep up to the mid 80s every once in a while. It's gonna be that time of year where you can go out, you can still wear shorts when you're going around the block, taking the dogs out for a walk, but you might wanna be wearing a sweatshirt instead of that short sleeve shirt. When you're leaving the house for the day, make sure that you throw a jacket in the back of the car. You might have those jeans on, but it might not be time for the jeans and a sweatshirt. You're gonna need to find that balance. But with all the pros of having all four seasons, that does lead every once in a while to some of those seasons really starting to mix all in one day. So the fall is the time where I start to give that recommendation again. Hey, whatever you think the weather is at the beginning, make sure you have some sort of sweatshirt, you got a rain jacket, something like that in your bag, in your car, just in case things can take a turn a little bit quicker. On that rain front, you will see precipitation start to take a little bit of a more increased role in your day-to-day life. On average, when you look at all the weather stats, in the fall, the chance of rain, the chance of just overall precipitation, it goes and kind of ranges. It's higher than the summer, and it'll range from 6% up to about 22% throughout the fall. Snow, for the most part, you won't see a ton of it in the fall, but every once in a while you'll see a couple of small storms creep into November, and then Halloween is really typically the first time that you'd see any of it. Pretty rare at that point. You can see sometimes throughout the years. Every once in a while Halloween gets a little bit more chilly, so just keep that in mind when you're thinking about your costume or your kid's costume. Okay, but let's leave the weather behind. Let's talk about some of the fun things that have to do with fall. Why do we actually love it so much up here? Fall is a time of year that has a ton of great activities out there to do. One of our favorite things, we're big Boise State football fans. This is when football season hits up. Whether you're a fan of the university or not, whether you're super into football, Boise State, that blue turf that they're known for, that was rated for, I believe, the third straight year as the #1 sports attraction in the entire country. We've got some pretty cool ones here, and that's saying a lot. So you gotta check out at least one game, you gotta see the blue turf, everything happening there. And even if it's something that you don't wanna go into the game, you could care less about the football team, the tailgating experience down there, it is something special. People absolutely love meeting new people. You can walk around, not go into the game, and really have a good time out just getting to know the community. And of course, I can't talk about things to do without talking about the quintessential fall activities. Getting started in October, we got to talk about all of those spooky activities out there. If you're looking for something that's actually going to scare you a little bit, Haunted World in Nampa, it's one of the larger kind of outdoor haunted house experiences in the Northwest. It's a lot of fun. It's a good long experience, so you're going to feel like you get your money's worth. And every once in a while, it will get you. They will jump out of nowhere. So that's a good one to go ahead and check out. In Caldwell, there's Requiem Haunted House. This is one that people definitely say is on the scarier side, so maybe don't take the super young kid, but if you're looking to actually get some frights, get that adrenaline pumping, those are two that I'd recommend checking out. And if you like the spooky activities, but you're looking for something that's a little bit more tame or maybe just for the younger kids, right now, there's gonna be a ton of kids activities around that Halloween timeframe. Throughout the month of October at the Old Idaho State Penitentiary, they're gonna have Fright Night, which is something that they just put on every single year, a nice thing for the kids to go out and have some fun at. The zoo always has their boo at the zoo. There's gonna be all sorts of trunk and treats. There's gonna be a ton of Halloween themed things. That is not something that you're really gonna have to struggle to find up here in our area. And then when it comes to Halloween, one of the cool places to go and check out is in the North End, Harrison Boulevard. They go out on another level for Halloween. So that is a great place to go trick-or-treating. It's an experience you gotta see at least once. Once we get all of that spookiness out of our system, maybe you're somebody, you don't really like the ghosts, you wanna get straight into the corn stalks and the pumpkins. The harvest festivals up here are also really, really good. Even though we're an area that's growing very, very quickly, we do still have a lot of farmland. Some of these more farmstead communities and the vibes up here, those do still exist, so it's very easy to go out and find. If you do a quick little Google search, you'll find all sorts of pumpkin patches, corn mazes, all sorts of fun things. But a couple that I always like to highlight, Low Family Farmstead. They'll have all sorts of harvest kind of fall activities going October and November. Shindig Farms is another good one. And then be sure not to overlook some of the kind of smaller town harvest festivals. Eagle is going to have one in Boise. The Idaho Botanical Garden does one. You'll find it in Meridian, Nampa, all sorts of them around. So you can kind of get that fall harvest vibe. If you want to look for it, there will be plenty of opportunities. And then this is also a great time of year to go out and go apple picking. There are a couple of great spots out in Emmett in particular, but this again is one of those activities that you can only do at certain times of the year. So go out, enjoy, have some cider. A couple other activities that happen during this time of year are going to be around kind of Oktoberfest. So you're going to have Old Boise Oktoberfest that happens towards the beginning of October, end of September every single year. Coming up here last weekend of September, as I'm filming this video, Dogtoberfest happens in downtown Caldwell. It is exactly what it sounds like. It's a whole Oktoberfest day of activities, but centered around the dogs. What could possibly be better? The Boise area has a really underrated kind of brewery, wine, and cider scene, so there's going to be a ton of Oktoberfest events. Payette does one every year. All of the different breweries will do either little specials, they'll do events. Go out and check them out. This is a great time of year to head out to that Sunny Slope Wine Trail. There will be a couple of wine festivals. This is a great time because the weather's getting a little bit cooler. You are not going to be roasting out on the patio, but you'll also start to see the colors change. They have little concerts. It's a great time. Go and check it out. And then staying on that thread, I do want to shift focus just a little bit. That's a little bit of an oxymoron, staying on the thread and shifting focus. Bear with me. But I do want to focus a little bit on where can you see those colors change? The colors as they change, the trees and everything, it is one of my favorite things in the world. I'm originally from Colorado, so we have got some great places to go out and see all of that happen, but Idaho is no slouch. There's gonna be a ton of cool places to go. Here in town, some of the easiest ones for you to get to, the drive up to Bogus Basin, some great views. You're gonna have a ton of trees around you. You're gonna see the aspens. Absolutely gorgeous. If you want to go for a short hike and kind of see over the city of trees that Boise is called, see how everything changes, you can go to Camel's Back Park, kind of do the little hike up the hill. Once you get up there, you can kind of turn around, see the north end and all the mature trees as it goes into kind of the skyline. You're going to have Table Rock that you can get up and do. Military Reserve is one that people don't always know about. There are some great places to kind of get that overlook feel. Of course, also check out some of the large parks that we have in Boise, Meridian, Eagle, all over town. And then the Greenbelt is another great example. You can start to see how everything, the seasons change as you're walking around. One of those better parts about living up here in the area. And then if you really want to get out and you want to escape out of town and get that full fall adventure, there are too many to name. So many great places that you can go, but a couple that I want to highlight. Head up to Stanley. You're going to be about 3 hours out of town, but Redfish Lake, there's going to be some great fall views. You're really going to get that impact and that cozy vibe. You can head up to Sun Valley. You can go to Garden Valley, Idaho City. There are so many, but that's a great time of year to do it. And of course, this is not an exhaustive list. So if there's any sort of fall activity that I missed, drop it down in the comments so that I can add it to my own personal list, but so everybody else can get out there and enjoy the things that make this area so great. Now, before we fully wrap up, I do want to touch on a couple of those home maintenance items that you might need to be thinking about here in the fall that may just not exist where you're coming from. One of the biggest ones up here that we talk to people all the time, so many of our neighborhoods and such, all of the landscape water, watering your lawn, the sprinklers, etc., those are all going to be on what's called irrigation. So those are all going to come from kind of those irrigation canals running through our city. It's going to come through as pressurized irrigation, which means you get it until it runs out. It turns on usually in the spring, but it will turn off in the fall, sometimes at the end of September, but typically in that start to middle of October. Once that gets shut off, then you have to figure out, okay, how do we winterize this system? If you just leave it, some of the water that's in those pipes can freeze, expand, and really cause havoc in the spring. So you're gonna need to do what we call blowing out your sprinklers. You're gonna see signs for this everywhere. All that it is you hook a little compressor up to your sprinkler system, they blow it all out so that those lines are nice and empty and dry so nothing does freeze in them. That's gonna be the number one thing that you gotta remember to do. Outside of that, it's gonna be a lot of the typical fall stuff that you're gonna see most places kind of winterizing your home, checking on your roof, checking on the sealant around your windows, all of that. You're gonna wanna make sure that you pick up the debris. We get a lot of leaves falling, your grass will kind of start to crump up as it starts to die throughout the winter, so get that raked up. The work that you do in the fall, it's gonna be tempting not to do it, or that first snowfall is gonna sneak up on you, but your grass and your overall just house and feeling about your landscaping is going to thank you. The work that you put into your lawn in particular in the fall is what sets the stage for the next spring and summer, and that's really where you can see people who have those lawns that they are so proud of. So get started on some of that work now and make it just a little bit easier on yourself when the spring comes. And then a small note, but that same thing with all of the leaves and everything that's been happening, make sure that you get up and clean your gutters. You want to do that before the rain starts to come, before the snow. Don't let everything get trapped in your gutters and then sneak into your roof, under your shingles. That is just a recipe for disaster. So make sure those are clear as you head into the winter. But overall, there you have it. That's what the fall in Boise is going to look like. Those are some of the things that I always love to highlight. It is one of the best times of the year up here. It's one that you can really start to take advantage of, build some great memories, and really look forward to every single year. So hopefully there was at least one thing on this list that you're excited about. Again, if there's something that I missed, drop a comment down below. I want to make sure that I check it out and nobody else misses it. And if you have any sort of specific questions, you just want to know more about the area, all of my information is down below. Go ahead and reach out. I would absolutely love to chat. Hit that subscribe button down below. That way you're the first to know everything you need to know about living up here in the area. And until then, watch one of these videos that's popping up, and I'll see you guys on the next one.